Good evening, welcome back. It is Thursday, June 15th, 2023. We are halfway through the month of June, so 15 more days, and we will be doing this series for 6 months non-stop. I find that really incredible, which means we got 6 more months and 15 more days to go, and we will complete a year of birthdays and events. Then we'll have to find something else to fill this time slot periodically, because I think after this year, I'm going to back her down a little bit and not do 3 videos a day. Gets a little hectic, but, just do it for the fun of it, enjoy it, and it's been forcing me to go through and find new things, find some old cards, and find new things to talk about. So anyway, we have a couple of birthdays and only 3 events that really stood out on the list. 1969, on this date, Cale Yarborough wins the first Cup Series race at the newly built Michigan International Speedway. Back then, it was a 500-mile race, and as a matter of fact, I think they actually ran a 600-mile race there at one time before both races were back down to 400 miles, a more manageable distance. Of course, in 97, when the sister track opened out in California, they had a 500-mile race as their inaugural race. I believe they've backed theirs down to 400 as well, or they did. Of course, now we don't know what's going to happen with that track. But Michigan International Speedway now hosts one race a year in August. It used to hold a race on this weekend in June and then the weekend in middle of August. And we used to go to both of them. My dad and I used to go to both of those. It was the closest track at the time before Indy got on the circuit. And it's always a fun time up there. Lots of cool people. And you didn't have to sit very high to see all the way around. You could sit up about 7 or 8 rows and you were able to see all the way around the facility. On this day in 1986, Mario Andretti wins the IndyCar race at Portland. Not a big shocker there, but the fact that he passed his son Michael as Michael ran out of gas coming off the last corner, and it was the closest IndyCar finish, or one of the closest IndyCar finishes at the time. I believe the margin of victory was like 6 or 7 thousandths of a second, and and it was on Father's Day. So it was a very nice day for Mario that day. And then the third race on this day that was significant, and I happened to be there for it, at Michigan in 1997, Ernie Irvan wins his final career Cup Series race at the track that not only once before, but once after would injure him pretty bad. The crash course in 1994, we were there that weekend. My dad and I were there that weekend. We were actually in the campground across the street, and we heard the helicopter come in. We didn't know what had happened, because you hear helicopters come in the morning. We didn't go over there for the morning practice, but when we went over there later, we heard that it was pretty bad. But, of course, Ernie made a full recovery, would win 3 more races, 2 in 96, 1 in 97, after his near-fatal accident in 94. Of course, practicing his Busch car in the fall race of 99, got in an accident and had a head injury, and he decided at that point that would be a good time to call it a day, pack it up, and get to enjoy life with his family. So we have 2 birthdays today. First one, born on this day in 1998, current journeyman driver in the Xfinity Series, and I think he maybe makes some truck start once in a while, Mr. Stefan Parsons. Of course, Stefan is the son of Phil Parsons and nephew of Hall of Famer Benny Parsons. Got to meet Stefan one time at Indy in the garage area. Really nice guy. Seems to be a very hard worker. Would like to see him get in a top ride. And then, born on this date in 1989, kind of a local star for here. He was born in California and come to Indiana, run sprint cars, dirt cars, and stuff. But born in 1989, Mr. Brian Clauson. Of course, Mr. Clauson tragically lost his life in a sprint car crash in 2016. I want to say it was in Iowa, maybe. But here we'll zoom in and you can see his stats for his rookie season in the Busch Series for most of the year. He did have a pole at Daytona in the fall race and had a top 10 finish there. He had a 5th place finish at Kentucky. And he lost Rookie of the Year that year to Landon Castle. Now, the ironic thing with the way things turned out, Brian was driving for Chip Ganassi. And he had Fastenal as a sponsor. And he was going to drive the full season in 2009. because in 2008 he was splitting the car with Dario Franchitti and a couple other drivers in the Busch Series. 2009, Ganassi signed him to drive full-time in the 40 car with Fastenal sponsorship. Well, this was the same time that Ganassi was merging with Dale Earnhardt Incorporated to become Earnhardt Ganassi Racing, and they switched from Dodges to Chevrolets. Well, that kind of didn't set well for some reason with the people at Fastenal, and so they claimed breach of contract, and of course Brian lost his ride because Fastenal jumped, and if I remember correctly, I want to say they either went to Hendrick or Junior Motorsports, a Chevy team, to be a sponsor. So that didn't really make a lot of sense to me, but, you know, it was kind of ironic that Fastenal said, nope, we don't, you were going to be a Dodge team, and then they jumped ship to a Chevy team when they were going to be on a Chevy team. But I get it. You're going to be on a higher team. You're going to get a little bit more notice, but who knows? Brian was a wheel man, and he could have put that 40 car in victory lane because he had some talent. He ran a few Indy 500s and did pretty well for himself. So anyway, you'll have to brag on him a little bit because he, like I said, he was a local guy and did a lot for short track racing. So, but anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Didn't have a lot to show you, but had a lot to talk about, a lot to cover. So thanks again for watching. Make sure you come back tomorrow, and we will see you then.